Hello and welcome to the video tutorial for week number 9 in the iRacing Grand Prix series with the McLaren MP4-30. This week the series visits Monza, or if you prefer the long name, the Autodromo Nazionale di Monza, the by far fastest circuit in the series, and apart from the Mans, probably also the fastest circuit in the whole simulation. This also shows in the setups, as both the race setup and the qualifying setup are using low downforce, and with regards to the qualifying setup, that might be a little bit surprising to you, since typically qualifying setups are using the maximum downforce you can find, but due to the length of the straights between the first chicane and the second chicane, and also the exit of the Variante Ascari and the Parabolica, high downforce and medium downforce are not really viable in qualifying trim, so even the qualifying setup here is using low downforce. As usual, both the qualifying and the race setup are available within the Virtual Racing School web application. And as in other Virtual Racing School video tutorials, the qualifying lap that is about to be analyzed was done in default weather and at the time of day that is used in the Grand Prix series, in this case just standard afternoon. First of all, I'll play the lap and afterwards we'll go through it and point out the important bits. Alright, so this was a lap around Monza. Now let's begin with the analysis. The first thing you want to pay attention to is that you start your outlap and also almost complete your outlap with deployment setting fixed 09. Reason for it is just to keep the battery level as high as possible, and you want to have basically no battery drain before you actually start your lap. And yeah, that's basically all the reasons for it. Then, as we approach the last corner, roughly a couple meters behind this little bridge where we're going through, we'll switch to fixed 1. Reason for fixed 1, even though we don't use it on the lap itself, is that we want to have the best acceleration out of the last corner towards the start-finish line. Then, for the last corner itself, turn in relatively late and do a little bit of a later apex than normally, so that it also facilitates the exit and you really want to have as much acceleration as possible and cross the start-finish line with the highest speed possible. Then the next interesting thing will be the DRS zone. You have this marker right here, which indicates where it starts. So that's already a huge bonus compared to Montreal, where you don't have any marker, and you also have to activate it while you're still fighting for traction. Right here, you just have to pay attention that you open it up as early as possible, but you don't have to fight traction or anything. So at least that's kind of nice. Then for the braking zone, it's kind of a difficult thing to find a good marker for. I'm using this vertical line that I'm pointing out right now, the beginning of those extra plants here, and the 150 meter board. Right in the middle, this is probably the the point where I'm starting to brake, and as soon as my left mirror lines up with this, then I'm starting to brake. As you can see here, I'm starting to brake while I'm still on the throttle, a little bit of overlap, which isn't great, but it is what it is. So yeah. Then for the braking zone, you want to brake in a straight line, and you want to go down all the way to second gear, and then turn in relatively early and take quite a lot of curb in the beginning, and then avoid the curb in the second part of it, especially the sort of red sausage curb that is in the middle there on the apex. And then on exit, just use all the available track, especially track width, and straighten up the car early and get the power down. So let's take a look at it from chase view. As you can see on entry, I'm taking a good bit of curb. Actually could take a little bit more, since I believe the middle of the car is allowed to be right on the edge of this red marker and the actual curbing. But you can get a slowdown there, so better be on the safe side and leave a little bit more space instead of getting a nasty slowdown, which especially in the first couple of laps in a race will cost you dearly. Then for the second part of the chicane, try to get as close to the sausage curb but not on it. In my case, I got on it a little bit, but it didn't unsettle the car too much, so I was kind of lucky there, and the car didn't bounce, as you can see in the slow motion, so it's still okay, but ideally you don't want to hit it. And then, yeah, just use all the available space and accelerate out of the corner. Now we approach the braking zone for the Variante della Roggia, the second chicane on the circuit. For that, I'm using this little bridge here, the frontal area of it, as a brake marker. And as soon as the left mirror is covering the majority of the frontal area here, that's where I'm starting to brake. So right around here, when basically the mirror is covering it, brake as hard as you possibly can, again in a very straight line if possible, and then shift down all the way to third gear. On entry, again turn in relatively early and take a lot of curb in the first apex. For the second one, you again want to avoid the sausage curb. In that case, I hit it a little bit again, but was kind of lucky again. The car didn't bounce too much, and I still could get a relatively good exit. But generally, as you can, let's take a look first from chase view. On the first apex, again, the middle of the car is around that red marker, roughly, and in the second apex you basically want to avoid that sausage curb. I hit it relatively heavily this time around, but as you can see, it bounces once, bounces twice, and then it already settles in, and I was relatively safe on the acceleration, was on full throttle early, and the car didn't do too many nasty things to me, so it was okay. But generally try to avoid it. It's safer that way. Let's go to cockpit view again for the first Lesmo corner. That corner is a little bit of a tricky situation because I actually have no good reference point where to start braking. So I'm doing it entirely by feeling. I know that's not very satisfactory for the viewer now, but well, I unfortunately don't have a reference point and I can't make one up easily. So unfortunately, that is it roughly. On apex, you want to make sure that you don't hit the curb. The curb will sort of throw you off a little bit. And at the exit, just use as much space as possible again. Even the AstroTurf is fine, so you can run completely over it. That's no problem at all. Let's take a look in chase view. There you can see that I left a little bit too much space there. You can basically run on the white line, but not on the curb. The curb is a little bit bad for lap time. And on exit, just use everything that is available. I basically got almost onto the gravel there, but just about missed it, so pretty good there. And then for the second Lesmo, brake slightly before the 50 meter mark, roughly 70 or so maybe. Go down to fourth gear, and then again, get as close to the curb as possible without actually touching it. And on exit again, use everything you have available, even the AstroTurf, just avoid the gravel. The car might be a little bit bouncy here, but that should still be somewhat alright. And then, again, just pay attention to the DRS sign, and then off you go. Let's take a look at it from chase view real quick. How it should look. Basically enter from all the way on the outside, on the white line already, and then go all the way to the inside, hit the white line briefly, and then accelerate full throttle as early as possible, use all the space, and yeah, that's lesson 2 completed. And then again, DRS sign, pay attention. Let's quickly fast forward to this bridge around here. The line is kind of important here, as there's a fairly nasty bump in the middle of the road, and you can avoid it by either going all the way to the left hand side or all the way to the right hand side. I choose to go all the way to the right hand side, since we have to move the car to the right anyway for the next corner, for the entry for the Variante Ascari, and with the open DRS flap I would avoid moving the car at speed to either side. And for the braking point for Ascari, you can basically use that end cap of that guard right here, the orange part, as your guideline. As soon as that sort of overlaps with the right front wheel, that's where you want to start braking. Let's see. And right around here when it overlaps, that's basically the brake marker. Maybe a tiny little bit earlier, as I missed the braking here a little bit. And then all the way down to 4th gear. And then try to hit the sleeping policeman just about. You shouldn't drive over it, but get really, really close. And then for the second part, just hug the inside curb, avoid the sleeping policeman. And for the third part, again, just avoid the sleeping policeman. You can use the curb. It unsettles the car a little bit. Maybe that was a little bit too much here. And then on exit, run over the AstroTurf. It's fine. You don't get an off track. It doesn't unsettle the car too much. And then that's okay. Let's now quickly listen to it. You probably have heard a little bit of a screeching noise. That was the front tires that locked up, and that probably caused me to go a little bit wide here. So that wasn't ideal. And as you can see, I've missed the curb almost entirely. So you basically want to be half a car width further to the left hand side. And pretty much as close as possible to the sleeping policeman. The rest of the sequence was relatively okay. The second part was fine. Just about missed the sleeping policeman, was on the curb a good bit. And the exit, I touched the sleeping policeman a tiny little bit. It unsettled the car a little bit. You can see the car bounce just a tiny little. But yeah, overall it should be okay. And on exit, just take the space that you have available and then go straight as fast as possible. Let's fast forward again. Braking point for the last corner, the Parabolica, is basically as soon as this painted tarmac starts to the left hand side, right around the 100 meter board. As soon as you're at the basically at the place where this starts, you want to brake and go all the way down to 4th gear as well. Brake as far to the outside as possible and then try to hit the beginning of the curb here. And sort of in the middle of the corner, you should already be pointing towards the towards the outside and get just as much power down as possible. It is kind of tricky here, since you know, the car will overstay on you at speed. But yeah, then let's take a look from the chase view, all the way on the outside, even almost on the grass here. Ideally, you don't really want to take too much curb here. I went a little bit too far to the inside here, which made the car a little bit bouncy. As you can see, the right rear wheel is a little bit moving up and down. But, well, still didn't cost too much time. And then just go all the way towards the outside and try to sort of hang on to it. Don't cross that sort of drain thing here on the left-hand side. That will unsettle the car. Try to stay right of it. And then as soon as you're out of the corner, just point towards the start finish line and open up DRS if needed. If you go for a second lap, DRS sound is actually after the start finish line, so you can't really lose time by not activating it, at least towards the end of the lap. So that was basically the analysis for Monza. You can find the telemetry of the lap, the replay, and as mentioned before, both qualifying and race setups over at virtualracingschool.com, where you can also book one-to-one tuition with myself and other top drivers. Good luck this week, and don't hesitate to post questions or feedback below. Thanks for watching.